This is Jemma, and we're Pinbone. We're here to talk about the fun of roasting lamb. We're kicking things off with this bone-in lamb shoulder. Jem, what are you going to do to it?
I'm basically just going to put it straight in the pan. I'm not going to sear it, I'm not going to trim any fat, I'm just going to season it, pop it in the pan with a little bit of onion and thyme underneath, whack it in the oven. I'm going to slow cook it for about an hour. I want the onions underneath so there's no direct heat from the actual pan. If I've got that as a little buffer, it'll cook nice and evenly all the way through. I'm going to leave all the fat on top so that as it cooks, it'll slowly render through and all that flavour of the lamb fat will go through into the meat, and it'll also protect the meat as well as it cooks in the oven.
This thing's made up of bone, muscle, interconnecting tissues.
The best way to cook this is nice and low and slow. I'm going to cook it at about 140 degrees. I put my onions on the bottom just so I'm protecting my meat. Thyme, lamb on top, salt and pepper.
Loads of salt and pepper for this one?
Always loads of salt and pepper. And that's all I'm going to do. It's been about an hour and a half now, so let's have a look. So this is beautifully roasted, still got a nice fat layer to it, so it'll be beautiful and juicy inside. Nice, rich, fatty lamb flavour. To cut through that, I'm just going to serve it with the chimichurri sauce. Nice green, it's got capers and parsley and everything in it. You can cut that with some fennel fronds and heaps of fresh lemon juice.
Okay, we're talking about roasting. One of the keys to roasting lamb is to look for all the little bits of trim and little bits of offcuts of meat. One of the best ways to use them up is mincing. So we're going to make a meatloaf today using lamb mince. We're going to mix it with spices and aromats, then we're going to roast it nice and slow so it's tender and delicious, falling apart. Beautiful meatloaf. On the board here we've got onion, garlic, thyme, rosemary, pickled green chilies, diced back fat. We've got a mixture here of spices, tomatoes, chilies, cinnamon, star anise, peppers. So we'll start with the wet ingredients, which is our spice mix and our flavour. Okay, let's go with the dry stuff. So we can pretty much just chuck it all in at once. It's a really simple recipe. Now we'll just hit it with the seasonings, salt and pepper, give it a mix, and we're done. Throw a piece of foil over the top. With this, we've left the shiny side of the foil up. So we want to reflect a little bit of that heat out so it's not overcooking from the top down. It's going to go straight into an oven, 150 degrees for 1 hour.
Okay, so it's been about an hour. My meatloaf should be cooked, and then we're going to set it in the fridge overnight.
Okay, the meatloaf's had 24 hours in the fridge, so now it's time to slice it and serve it just like you would any old terrine. So Jem's going to take a couple of slices here. That's our meatloaf. We're going to garnish with a few pickled Turkish chilies and a little salsa we made from porcini mushrooms and tomato.
Okay, so here I've got a lamb rump that I'm going to sear in the pan and then slow roast.
Before we get started, we're going to clean it up a little bit. So we're just going to square it off here so we get a nice even cook. Now this is ready to sear, we're going to take it across to our pan, get it all seared up, intensify that lamb flavour, and then we're going to put it in the oven to slow cook.
Okay, I've got my pan over a nice medium heat. I'm going to start by sealing it fat side down, just so I can get that fat starting to render down in my pan. I'll give that only a minute or two, and then I'll flip it over and seal the other side. You can see that beautiful caramellization's already started. So again, I want to let that sit for a couple of minutes because I do want to get that nice brown caramelization because that's where all my flavour's going to come from. So that's nicely seared on all sides now. I'm going to put some star anise and some lemon slices underneath. So I'm going to pop that straight into the oven. I've got my oven set at 160. I'll probably put it in there for about 15 to 18 minutes. Okay, so that's rested nicely now for about 15-20 minutes, so it's good to slice. So I'm going to serve the rump today with just a little pea and mince salad, broad beans, sugar snap peas and some garden peas. So there it is, the finished dish of lamb rump with peas and mint.